Hi guys, welcome back to the Blank Bookshelf, and I just read Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and actually I listened to it. I have the book, I started reading the book, switched to audio book, but I'll get to that in a minute. So this book was suggested to me by a client of mine that I cut her hair, and then another friend of mine who's in the hair industry as well. They both told me that they absolutely adored the Night Circus. And I should really give it a shot. I had bought it several years ago, or a few years ago, really. And it's been sitting on my TV red shelf, and when my client and a friend was telling me that I needed to pick this up and actually read it, I thought, what the hell, why not? I've never read anything by Erin Morgenstern. She did have a new book come out. It's Starless Sea. Yes, The Starless Sea. My client has read The Starless Sea, and she absolutely adored it, and she really does love Erin Morgenstern. So I gave it a shot. So the story follows two rival magicians, and they train competitors to battle it out to determine who's the better one. And the stage for this battle of powers is a circus. But it's not like any circus that it's not like you see clowns, and you see elephants doing tricks, and tigers and lions jumping through flaming hoops and stuff like that. It's totally and completely different. And it was awesome. The circus is called Cirque de Rêve, the Night Circus, I believe in French, or whatnot. Could be wrong, don't hold me on that, I'm sorry. But yeah, in the time setting of it, it's in the mid to late. I want to say it starts in 1880 something, in the 1880s, and it goes through the very beginning of the 1900s. So as my client was telling me, giving me her spiel about why she loves this book so much, I immediately got the feel of The Prestige, which is one of my favorite movies. Not only do I like Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, but I love the time era. I love magic, and especially rival magicians. I thought it was just really cool. And I got that feel. Right off the bat, reading this in the first few pages, I got that Prestige feel. I have never read the book Prestige. We have it. Yeah, it's right there. You can't see it. It's covered. But it's there, and I do need to read it. But I really did get a really strong Prestige feel from this book. But it was awesome. The feel of this book was so completely different than any of the books that I'm currently reading or have read in the past. This book felt and moved very much like a dream. And it's so hard to describe. And this is probably so far one of the hardest books that I've had to think about writing or doing a review for, or even talk about it, because I don't know how to translate or put into words that dreamlike feel. But it fits so well with how the story goes and how it plays out, with the mood and the pace of it. And it was one of the things that I loved the most about this book. And like I said, I did start reading this book, reading the Tangible book, but I got to a part in the story where I was having a really, really, really hard time reading it. I was reading a page and then realizing I had no comprehension of what that page said. So I had to go back and reread it. And by the time I got to the end of the page again, I had no comprehension of what I just read. And I finally had just put the book down, because it's I'm at a part where it's too much. It was a very heavily detail-oriented for a part where I felt it was so insignificant in the story that I wasn't sure why it was even there in the first place. So I was just like, I really want to get past this part because I want to get to the good stuff, but I can't get past this hurdle. And that's when I picked it up. I went through Libby and I checked it out and listened to it, and I was able to get past it. But there are a few parts where it is like that. It's some parts that seem so insignificant to the story or the characters or the plot are so heavily detailed and described down to the nuances of napkin coloring and textures, the candle scone or light scones on the walls when they were made and stuff like that. So it was just like, I feel like I don't need this information. But yes, I still enjoyed it once I got past those parts. And like I said, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like this was a very detail heavy story. But when I finished the book, I was able to kind of look back and kind of see that it did kind of make sense for the people who ended up being part of those scenes. So it was okay, but still, it's a little much. I did have a bit of a hard time, even with listening. I did have a bit of a hard time following it. The timeline is not linear. It bounces back and forth between times and events and point of view. So keeping things in order, some of the events that happen, we hear about them before, we hear about them and from a point of view in few, days, hours, or years before. We go back to an event that that is not even close to that, with a different point of view, and then we go back into that. So it's a little bit, it can be a bit bouncy. But again, I kind of also feel like that kind of fits in with the dream. I mean, when you dream, you don't necessarily, you don't dream linearly. You dream sporadically. So it kind of fits in a way, but it is a little hard to follow. My favorite parts of this book, I loved the circus parts. The color scheme of the circus is black and white. It is just so, the way it's described is so pretty and so whimsical. Like, it's almost kind of like a Tim Burton feel. I enjoyed Celia and Marco. They are the competitors for this circus, and I love their parts together. I love how they worked the circus together. And like one character describes it, the certain tents or different themes of parts of the circus as love letters to each other, because they do end up falling in love, and they are kind of star-crossed lovers in a way. Because unfortunately, both Marco and Celia cannot live. One has to die in order to be the winner of this this competition, this battle. But I really did enjoy their parts. I wish there were more of them. Two of the characters I love, they're twins called Poppet and Widget, and they're clairvoyant twins, and I love them. They were so awesome. And I feel like they kind of stole the show a little bit. But in here, like, we kind of feel like I have this dream feel again. We don't get much of these characters very much. Like, we don't get their thoughts and what makes them special very much. We're honestly, at least in my opinion, we experience them on the outside, or as spectators. We don't get much glimpse into their thoughts and their mentality and stuff like that. But it was awesome. we experience though more of the circus through a kid named Bailey, who befriends Papa and Widget, and with Bailey and Papa and Widget, when they go and explore some of the tents through the circus, we do experience like a cloud maze and an ice garden, and it's just really cool. And the way that the circus is done, I really wish like the circus was actually real, but I loved it. So with Bailey, I'm still not quite sure his role in this story. He is honestly, in my opinion, a true character of circumstance. He was at the right place at the right time and knows the right people for the arc of his story. I just didn't quite feel like there was really enough reason for him to be there for me to grab onto. And he did kind of seem a bit Mary Sue-ish. Kind of goes back into the right person, right place, right time, right circumstance, or people, right, knowing the right people, because just it was Bailey had everything pretty much handed to him. The last bit of the book was really great, and that's kind of where things started to get going, but it happened really, really fast. And a little too fast for me, and I wish there was more detail given. And again, going back to the dream, you know how in a dream where you're in kind of like an action moment and you're paying attention to what's happening, but you're not taking in the details of it actually happening. You're witnessing it, but you're not actually grasping the concept of what's actually playing out in front of your face or in your dream face. And I feel that's kind of what happened at the end of the story. It happened really, really fast, and not a lot of detail given for this part. And that's kind of the part where I wish there was more detail instead of, I don't really want to know about a dining room, I want to know about this. But at the same time, it really does fit the story. It fits the feel and the the story voice, and I keep saying this, but it felt very much like a dream, just the feel of it. But I did enjoy it, and I feel like this is a book that I would have to read a couple of times or listen to a couple of times in order to be able to truly have my appreciation of it grow more and more. Because right now I'm kind of sitting it was good. And there was definitely parts I loved, but there's also parts that when I look at the book, I'm like, I remember that dinner scene, and it was so drawn out that I didn't want to read it anymore. So it's probably one I'm going to have to go back and reread, but not right now. But yes, so that's The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the circus parts, and I enjoyed Celia and Marco. So it was good. I liked it. It was okay. But yeah, so like I said, you can get this on Libby. You can rent it through them. Half Price Bookstore. I mean, obviously this is where I got it from. Barnes & Noble, I believe, still has it. Like I said, she did just come out with a new book, Starless Sea. I haven't read it, and based on this, I'm not quite sure when or if I will. It'll probably take me a little while because if her writing style is going to be the same way in Starless Sea. I may want to wait for it to come into audio and listen to it that way, because I feel like listening to it was honestly probably a little bit better of a choice, just to get past some of those detail parts. But yeah, so The Night Circus, check it out. If you haven't already, subscribe and like, comment, all the good stuff, you know the drill. And until next time, bye.